Hello, welcome to a special bonus episode of Conscious Pathways. I'm Dennis.
And I'm Chris. We're so glad you're joining us as we journey deeper into the themes of awakening with timeless stories from around the world. These bonus episodes are meant to expand Rip's story outward into echoes and parallels found across cultures and inviting us to see awakening not just as a moment in one life, but a universal human experience.
Rip Van Winkle's story has lingered in our imaginations because it touches on something ancient, something deeply human. The idea of waking up to a world transformed is not unique to one man or one culture. Today we begin exploring stories that echo that theme, one from the forest of Germany, the other from the hills of Ireland. But we invite you to listen not just as a witness, but as a participant. Ask yourself, have I ever woken up to a world I no longer recognized? They say Peter Klaus was a simple man tending goats in the Harz Mountains. One day he followed the sound of a bell through a narrow path where silent men in strange clothes welcomed him. They offered wine, and as he drank, time slipped away. When he awoke, the meadow was still but empty. No goats, no men. He returned to his village only to find everything changed. The people looked different. His home was occupied by strangers. No one knew his name. What he discovered, slowly and painfully, was that 20 years had passed, and in that time, the world had moved on without him. We might not fall asleep for 2 decades, but how many of us have felt the world change while we were looking the other way? Maybe you took a step back to heal or to care for someone you loved. Maybe the world just moved too fast. Peter's story is a metaphor for those perplexing moments when we try to re-enter a space that no longer fits the shape of who we were.
In the Irish legend, Oisín was a warrior poet who followed a golden-haired woman into the land of eternal youth. Their time seemed to stop. No one aged, joy was endless, and it felt like only a few seasons passed. But Oisín grew restless. He longed for home. Niamh warned him not to touch the ground if he returned. A single step would end the magic. He rowed back across the sea to Ireland, and he found a land he no longer recognized. His father and friends were gone. Stories of Fianna had turned to myth. Trying to help some farmers move a stone, Oisín slipped, and in that moment the spell shattered. He aged centuries in seconds. This tale may sound fantastical, but we know the feeling. Have you ever been in a relationship, a job, or a dream space that felt timeless until you left? A reality hit like a wave. Oisín fall is the shattering of illusion. It's the moment we realize that even beauty, even peace can isolate us from the real world if we lose our footing. Peter and Oisín weren't just characters in a story. They were people caught in the heartbreak of return. One wakes from a magical sleep. The other steps across time by crossing a sea. But both experience something we all face, the strange mix of grief and wonder when we see the world not as it was, but as it is now.
They, like Rip, remind us that awakening is rarely soft. It can feel like being dropped into a future that no longer knows your name, and yet it also invites us to choose. What will we do with what we see now? Will we grieve it, deny it, or grow with it?
Maybe you've had a Peter moment, returning to find your world unrecognizable. Or maybe you lived in a Oisín moment where beauty was real but unsustainable. These stories are old, but they hold mirrors up to our modern lives. In our next bonus episode, we'll meet dreamers who didn't simply drift into sleep, they chose it, in faith or resistance, hoping the world might be kinder when they awoke. Until then, may the echoes of Peter and Oisín remind you, awakening may bring loss, but it also brings clarity. Thank you for listening to Conscious Pathways.
If you enjoy these podcasts as much as Chris and I enjoy sharing them with you, We'd be so grateful if you tapped like, subscribe, or both. It helps others find the path too.